Everybody. So this video is going to cover how to perform an oral history. I'm going to show some of my photographs on how to do the oral and visual history project that you is going to be your final. And I'm also going to go over this little document here by Robert Gipe on how to basically talk to somebody and get their history. So the whole idea of this is that you're going to talk to someone or a group of individuals and get to know them really well and create a series of images as well as a recorded history. So basically, um, photojournalists or documentary photographers do this all the time. The idea being that if you do get in the photojournalist field, that you will essentially get to know a person and do a whole story on them. This could be you get an assignment for somebody, and they might expect you to do the writing as well as do the photography or even video that accompanies that story. I've had the privilege to do that several times, and this is going to be good practice for you if you ever decide to enter the field. It's also just a good way to document where you're from and the people around you, etc. If you watch the video of the interview I did with Robert Gipe and Rebecca O'Daughtry, they started Higher Ground, which is a Harlan-based community arts initiative in the early 2000s. And their first project was gathering photos from the community and then putting on a show based on that. And they had several, one big lead photographer that led the project named Jeff Whetstone, and Rebecca was a student of his at the time, and she helped photograph. And they did their own photographing, but they also took images that other people took from the community and helped curate a show. So this project is kind of emulating that, where kind of reiterating again, you're going to talk to people that you know, family, friends, etc. And then you're going to develop kind of an audio history of that stuff. And then you're going to use that to influence your photographs. And in the photojournalism field, if you're writing an editorial, you'll be referencing back what they told you via the audio in order to write your story. And it's also going to influence how you take the photographs. What are the key things that they tell you about? What are the key things that what's the story? What's the narrative? How are the words and the photographs working in tandem? And also how do the photographs operate on their own level as well? How do they speak for themselves? So you're thinking about that while we're going through this. So I'm not going to read this. I'm going to let you read this on your own. It's basically Robert Gipe's way on how to interview someone. It's very informative, and it's super, I think, easy read. But yeah, so the first thing that you're going to do is you're going to sit down with someone. You're going to get your phone out or whatever you're going to use to record, and you're going to record them talking, and you need to also get their consent to do this. And you're just going to ask them questions, and you know, get their history, oral history. It can be about anything. Yeah, so I'll put that on Blackboard. And so let's look at a couple of my projects where I have done this. So here's one that I did in Harlan earlier this year. And I sat down with two families, one individual named Bobby Simpson, who lives in Cranks Creek. And then I also met with the Van Winkle family that lives in um, Wallens. So yeah, I got their history. Bobby is worked doing essentially kind of relief work and helping missionaries do stuff for Eastern Kentucky and specifically Harlan County area, and got his history and took pictures of him. He's blind. He had a lot of good stories, and I recorded all of those, and that kind of helped me inform how I was going to kind of take photographs of him. And all of these images got published on an online editorial called Cranks Creek Survival for the New Yorker. And yeah, so kind of just documenting things. And then the Van Winkle family that lives in Bobby's old house in Wallens Creek, they have received some aid from Bobby, and they were trying to include them in the story as well. And you know, you're just trying to get the sense of place, sense of who these people are, what they what they're about, you know, through the photographs. Yeah, and I like this one a lot of Mr. Simpson. And this is some of the things that they have donations for from Cranks Creek, and that's his helper, whose name is Ada. Mr. Simpson's wife, also who passed away several years ago, was also a huge helping hand in creating this center. And Ada has kind of taken over her role a little bit. So portraits, getting a sense of place, people, all that stuff in order to kind of create a story, right? So yeah, that's kind of the idea that you're getting with this. This is kind of almost like a journalistic type thing, but you're also getting people's history. So another project that I did, which was for my graduate school, was that I photographed a lot of my thesis was on basically wrestling and other kind of combative sports. And I spent 3 years photographing people doing this, recording, writing down their histories, using that as a way to kind of influence the photography that I did. I also let them use all these images for promotional ways. I see that they had ownership in these images as much as I did. So yeah, this influenced the writing of my thesis. It also influenced the uh, the photographs themselves. Um, Thinking a lot about kind of religion, masculinity, iconography, um, theatrics within the sports. You know, so yeah. Just going through these images. So when you're photographing, this is a big thing. So this is a 3-year long project, right? So I'm showing you one that took me a week to complete versus a 3-year project. And this one's much bigger in scope because I had a lot more access and a lot more time to create a set of images. Whereas the other one, I had a deadline and had to go from there. And this is a video installation I made from that. Yeah, that's kind of the idea. I wrote a play, and then here's some other kind of my artist statement for this project. So, do I have any others that kind of another one that I'm working on right now is kind of yeah, this is a good one. Is I'm photographing a lot along the ridge of Pine Mountain. So going from Jellicoe to Tennessee to Elkhorn City, Kentucky, there's this strip uh, of mountain called Pine Mountain, and that has never been mined. It's been logged and it has quarries on it, but for geological reasons and also for conservation reasons, it's never been mined, and it's kind of a strange sight seeing an unmined stretch of mountain within the coal extraction corridor. So I have interviewed and photographed people that live on Pine Mountain. So here is a luthier named Al Cornett, who unfortunately passed away a couple months ago this summer. He spent his whole life working at Southeast, actually, and he specialized in making musical instruments. And I did a 2-hour long oral history and photographed all of his banjos and guitars and dulcimers and fiddles and all the other stuff that he created, and kind of gave that to the family. And then here's some writing I did with that you can see. Yeah. And then I'm also photographing spots that have been protected, such as Blanton Forest. This is Knobby Rock, if you're familiar with the area. Then going down near Bell County, there's a stretch. So this is an area that on 119 there was a place called the Seven Sisters, and there were these giant kind of formations that came out. You can kind of see right there, and they were a tourist attraction for the railroad, but they got bulldozed down in the 70s in order to make the bypass for the highway. So, talking to people that knew those histories and writing them down, and kind of also talking to Kentucky Natural Land Trust, and getting kind of information about Blanton Forest, and having a whole story about. So it's not just about what's on Pine Mountain, but what's in the vicinity of Pine Mountain. And this one is called the Bridge of Nowhere. If you're from this area, you'll know about it. But it's basically a strip mine across from Pine Mountain, that was trying to become, at first, I think, a place for FedEx, and then that got cut, and then now it's trying to become, or UPS, sorry, and then now it's trying to become a wildlife center, and funds have been kind of mismanaged, and there's still nothing on top of there. And this is one of the signs that's on top of that strip job, and yeah, just everything kind of around that. Then on top of the strip job, you can see the length of Pine Mountain going through Bell County up into Harlan area. So kind of showing in tandem the reason I started this project is because I live on Pine Mountain, and this is a neighbor's house, and yeah, I kind of was like, okay, was trying to find something to do creatively, and this came up in my head. Is like, well, this area that I live on's interesting, so I'm just going to start photographing home. And then it became something more. And yeah, this is all the writing here is about kind of like geological formations, etc. And here's another person that I interviewed that lives on Pine Mountain. His name's Gary Branson, and his thing is that he makes sorghum. He's kind of a catch of all trades. He works for the Harlan County Harlan County school system, working on buses, and he farms, and I think he's a volunteer firefighter, and he also does traditional sorghum making. So yeah, got this from sitting down with him, and 2 times actually where he was making sorghum, both for Swap and Meeting at Southeast. I made a video of last year's sorghum making, and then the year before I took some photographs of him doing that. So, and here's Tots, kind of just the parallel of like, here's coal that's coming out of Black Mountain, and then on the other side kind of emulating the shape of Pine Mountain that has been untouched by coal extraction. Yeah, just having, and then here's kind of an old map that I found that is kind of like used for coal extraction in this area, and it was started getting divvied up in the beginning of the 20th century. So yeah, that's an ongoing project. But yeah, so that's kind of what I'm expecting you to do, is that I'm wanting you to find somebody or something. It might even be a story that you know about. You might say, well, so and so down the street has this interesting thing that they do. Like, say you know somebody that like makes instruments like Al Cornett or something, and you go down and you just talk to them about that, or you're someone in your family that is interesting, etc. I don't know, like whatever you think is fascinating, and you're going to make a series out of that. You're going to first record the oral history. That's going to be part of your project, and then you're going to take photographs to supplement that. And we're going to have progress updates with both of those. Your oral history should be, your recording should be at least 45 minutes to an hour long, and you should have. We'll have basically photographs due starting next week, or maybe the next, I'm not sure, where you'll have basically 24 images And then at the end, you'll have 10 photographs from kind of, I don't know, 60 plus images that you've took. And those will be kind of your final project along with the recording. So yeah, that's this is going to be your big final project. And if you have any questions, please let me know. And yeah, that's it for right now. Thanks.